Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do two different things in Photopea and Photoshop, and that's involving using different brushes and different fonts for your projects. First, I want to add a new brush into Photopea because the selection here is pretty basic when you look in this palette. There's a really cool website that I like to use up here. It's called brusheezy.com. That's BRUSHEEZY.com. These are all free Photoshop brushes that you can use, and they also work in Photopea. So something I am going to choose here right off the bat, I am going to look at watercolor splatters right here. I'll click on this file, and what you do is you want to click on free download. It'll give you this quick screen, and your file will download to your computer. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to show this in the folder. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I extract the files in this. So if it doesn't show it on the top screen, you can right click and go extract all. Make sure you know where it's going. I just have it set to be in my downloads folder, and I'm going to click extract. And right here, I have a couple different things. There are some how-tos and things like that, but this file right here is what I want to see, watercolor splatters. If I want to get that into Photopea right here, it's pretty simple. All I'm going to do is with Photopea open, I'm going to click and drag those brushes right over to Photopea. And right here it says, do you want to load them next time? I'm going to click OK. And up here it'll say brush added. Now when I'm in Photopea, if I click on the brush tool on the right-hand palette, I can also come over here and click on brush on these information palettes next to our layers and history. And you'll see if I scroll down here towards the bottom that these new brushes that I just picked have been loaded. And if you click on here, they're going to do all sorts of different things. You can change the size of them by using the bracket keys. You can come up here and change the opacity of those brushes, and it'll put out a slightly lighter version. You can also come in here and just change your overall swatch color and continue putting those in. And there's a whole bunch of different brushes in here that you can try from, and it all depends on what the color is and everything else as to how it will end up looking. In Photopea, you can also do things like change the angle of the brush. You can see here how it's rotated. Now it's turned slightly. I can also go into things like scatter, and I can change that to make it closer or farther apart whenever I click and drag. I'm going to go back up here to my blank palette. So you can see now that when I click and drag, now it's going to show just lots of random ones. But you want to experiment and look around and see, do you really need all of those, or do you just want to come in and do one kind of giant brush tool or something else? All right, now let's say you want to load these brushes into Photoshop. If I'm looking at Photoshop right here, all I have to do is go back to that file where they downloaded, and I am going to double click on brushes. And if you have Photoshop open, it's just going to go to the screen. If you click on the brushes icon and you don't have Photoshop open, it's going to automatically load it. So now if I press the B key on the keyboard and I'm on brushes here, I can click on my brush settings here on the right. I can scroll all the way down in Photoshop, and it should have loaded them in here. Here we go. There's some different ones. It puts them in a slightly different location. And I can do the same thing. I can come in here. I can change the color in my swatches to make something different. I can also come in here and change the spacing of them if I'm clicking and dragging for how they will go. And there's a lot of other different things I can do. I can even come here into the count of how many of them that I want at one place, or how far I want them to be apart when I am clicking and dragging. All right. So what I also recommend doing when you're working, if you have these brushes and cool things that you want to use each time, I would recommend making a new folder somewhere and saving these files so that you can use them next time. Because it's not always a given on school computers, or especially on Photopea, that it's going to remember those brushes when you go to work again. All right, so the next thing we're going to check out is working with fonts. Fonts are another cool way to elevate your work, and you're kind of limited when you're first looking at Photoshop or Photopea. So what I'm going to use is one of my go-to sites for free fonts. It's called Dafont, DAFONT.com. And there are a ton of different things you can choose from. And as long as they have the download button here, you'll be completely fine. 99% of these are free. There is a donate to the author button because, hey, fonts don't make themselves. So in here, there's tons of different categories you can look at. And what's cool is it's going to give you a preview of whatever you have in here. So these kind of look like old school, like college jersey numbers, things like that. I might click on, Groovy in here. I've got this kind of vintage king. I'm going to click on here. And what's cool is I can go in here and go your text here. Click submit, and it's going to show me what it'll look like on that site. So if you think that one's pretty killer or something that you want to use, all you have to do is click on the download button on the right, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen, it's going to download another zip file, just like we did before. So I'm going to show that in the folder, and I've got my watercolor splat things I did here before. Now again on here, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to extract all. Sometimes it also shows an extract button up here at the top of the window. All right, so what I want right in here, I see these things right here. It's called Vintage King. That's what I want to go ahead and use. So let's try Photopea first. I'm going to click into Photopea. I'm going to go and find that folder really quick with my file. And I am going to click and drag that into Photopea. And you can see at the top it said font Vintage King was loaded. So I'm going to click on T, the text tool. And I can even click on character here on the right-hand palette. And I can go down and check this out. Now, sometimes, depending on what the program's feeling like, it might put them all the way down at the bottom. Sometimes it will put them in alphabetical order. It really depends on what it's feeling like. So I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom, and let's see where we are at. I think it's probably going to the bottom this time. There it is, Vintage King. I've got it. I'm going to come in my document, and I am going to make a text box that says my text here. Actually, we're going to go backwards in time. I'm going to go back into here. And because I did the number one mistake, I need to click and drag out to make my text box. And I'm going to put my, my title. I'm going to hit Control A to select all of that. And then I'm going to come either to my toolbar on the top or on my character palette. And I am going to change the size of that font. I'm going to blow that up here. Now, Photopea, when you click and drag, it's going to limit you. But you can just go right into that box and type in whatever font size you want. So if I want something large like 250, boom, goes the dynamite. There, I've got it. All right. Now, let's say you want to get that same font into Photoshop. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click into Photoshop. I'm going to go to my Vintage King folder. I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to give me this screen. This is going to let me save that open type font into the computer. So I'm going to click on Install. It's going to go through its thing. And now it should be out here in Photoshop land. So if I click on T for the text tool, and I can come over here to my character palette. And if I scroll down, Photoshop has a good history of putting things in alphabetical order. So I'm going to come down here and see where it went. Here it is, Vintage King. Put it a little bit out of order. So I'm going to go in here and make a text box. And you can see right here that I've got my base font here. And you can go through this whole character palette on the right, change all sorts of settings. But those are the two basic ways that you would import a font and a brush into Photoshop or Photopea for whatever you want to do. Make sure that those files that you've downloaded that are in your folders from before, that you save somewhere on your Google Drive or on your computer, so that the next time you want to go use them, you don't have to hunt them down and they'll be right there at your fingertips.